Scottish Pride, the Tony Awards, and the Vietnam War are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is April 6th, 2021. It is the 96th day of the year. We got 269 days left. It is the 14th Tuesday in the 15th week, and it's the 18th day of spring. There are 76 days left until summer. I think the other day, I don't know how it slipped by, but I think I said there was like 8 days left until summer. No, there's 76 days left. If today's your birthday, your birthstone is a diamond or a crystal. We talked about that before. I guess diamond if you're rich, crystal if you're not so rich. Today is National Tartan Day. National Tartan Day is a celebration of Scottish heritage and also marks the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Arbroath. Arbroath. Now, if you ever get a chance, have a Scottish person say Arbroath. It sounds excellent. I was watching a video because I knew nothing about the Declaration of Arbroath, and there was a Scottish guy talking about it, and he said this is considered Scotland's birth certificate. That's how he described it. Anyway, it's about Scotland's independence, and it was signed in 1320. Anyway, let's see what else April 6th has given us. 1896 in Athens, Greece, the opening of the first modern Olympic Games is celebrated. 1,500 years after the original games were banned by Roman Emperor Theodosius I. Now, he was a piece of work. He got angry one time and decided to slaughter a city. Yeah, everyone in it. Civilians, not just the military. Him and his dad were military-minded guys, and eventually he becomes the emperor of Rome and just decided to kill some people. He was forgiven by a bishop, but he had to ask for forgiveness first, which he did. In 1929, Huey P. Long, governor of Louisiana, is impeached by the Louisiana House of Representatives. Huey P. Long Jr. was born on August 30th, 1893. He got the nickname the Kingfish, and he was an American politician that was elected as the 40th governor of Louisiana from 1928 to 1932. This wasn't the first time he ran. He actually ran in 1924, but many say he didn't win. He actually came in third place because he didn't win over the Catholics or the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, back in the day, in the South, it was a good idea to have the support of the Ku Klux Klan to get elected. He didn't do that. He didn't get elected. But he did get elected in 1928, and then he eventually went on to being a United States Senator until he was assassinated in 1935. Now, he was a populist and a member of the Democratic Party and rose to political prominence during the Great Depression for his vocal criticism of FDR's New Deal. Long deemed it not radical enough. Yeah, so this was a big social program and very liberal and all that other stuff. It's mind-blowing that they actually pulled it off back then. They'd never be able to do it now. He didn't think it went far enough. He was crazy about wanting to limit the wealth you could actually achieve in the country, like capped millionaires at only having like $100 million. Like you'd never have a billionaire if Huey Long ever got his way. We'd have no billionaires. So at the time in Louisiana, Standard Oil and other oil companies pretty much ran the state. Actually, when he ran in 1924, his big platform was that the current governor was just in the pocket of Standard Oil, and they needed to get rid of him, and of course he lost because that was where all the money was coming from. Anyway, in 1929, Long called a special legislative session to enact a 5-cent per barrel tax on refined oil production to fund social programs in the state. The state's oil interests, like Standard Oil, opposed the bill. Long declared in a radio address that any legislature who refused to support the tax had been bought by the oil companies. So this accusations infuriated so many members that they actually tried to impeach him. They brought 19 charges that were ranging from blasphemy to subordination of murder. Yeah, which they had no proof of. Even Long's lieutenant governor supported the impeachment. He accused Long of nepotism and alleged that he made corrupt deals with Texan oil companies. Instead of Louisiana, corrupt oil companies. So they wanted rid of him because he was, damaging the cash cow, which was the oil companies. Long was pretty good governor, though. He created public works programs that were amazing for the South at the time, constructing roads, bridges, hospitals, schools, state buildings. During his 4 years as governor, Long increased paved highways in Louisiana from 331 miles, that's all the paved land they had, to 2,300 paved miles, and constructed 2,816 miles of gravel roads. He also was big in getting LSU a lot of their funding and had a lot of the buildings built there. He also started a program in the state teaching adults how to read. There was a serious literacy problem in the South back then, but his night schools taught 100,000 adults how to read in the state. They didn't have that many people back in the state back then, so that was quite an accomplishment. So you probably want to know how and why he got assassinated. On September 8th, 1935, Long traveled to the state capitol to pass a bill that would gerrymander the district of opponent Judge Benjamin Pavey, which he had held for 28 years. At 9:20 p.m., just after the passage of the bill effectively removing Pavey, Pavey's son-in-law, Carl Weiss, approached Long and, according to what everyone thinks happened, fired a single shot with a handgun from about a foot away, striking Long in the torso. Long's bodyguards, who were also affectionately called the Skull Crushers, then fired at Weiss with their pistols, killing him. An autopsy found that Weiss had been shot 60 times, most at point-blank range. According to different sources, his last words were, "I wonder what will happen to my poor university boys, and God, don't let me die, I have so much to do." And he died there on the steps. 1947, the first Tony Awards are presented for theatrical achievements. They're still going on to this day. I think they're, I don't think I've ever watched the Tony Awards. I remember reading something just recently where everyone's all, there's no need for them. Nobody watches them anymore. They don't need to have them on TV. 1968, Pierre Elliott Trudeau wins the Liberal leadership election and becomes the Prime Minister of Canada soon after. His son is the Prime Minister of Canada right now. 1972, the Vietnam War, the Easter Offensive. American forces begin sustained airstrikes and naval bombardment on Viet Cong positions. This was kind of a different one. I was reading a little bit about it. I don't know too much about it, but they really went to the air and naval bombardments and were kind of backing off using as many ground forces, which is a good thing. When you read how many losses we had during that, they should have been doing that a lot sooner. 1997 in Greene County, Tennessee, the Lillywood murders occur when a group of young people abduct and kidnap a religious family before shooting them dead on a rural suburban road. Yeah, this family pulled into a, rest stop on the side of the highway, and some teenagers there abducted them, forced them back into their own van. It was a husband, wife, and 2 kids, young kids at that, and drove them to a remote road not too far away. Just shot him. One of the kids survived, a young boy. I think he was an infant at the time, but he survived. All 6 of the teenagers were eventually arrested in Douglas, Arizona, a few days later, and were all sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. 2017, the U.S. military launches 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles at an airbase in Syria. Russia describes the strike as an act of aggression, adding they significantly damaged U.S.-Russian ties. Who knows? Movies released on April 6, 2018. Not a lot of people like this movie. I liked it. It's called Blockers. It's got John Cena, Leslie Mann, Gary Cole, a bunch of other people. Anyway, these parents find out that all 3 of their daughters are going to a prom party after the prom, and they all plan on losing their virginity. All 3 of the girls plan on doing this. The parents figure this out, and they basically go to the parties to try and stop this from happening. And it turns into a pretty funny movie. If you ever get a chance, watch it. It came out in 2018. You might be able to see it on HBO or something, maybe Netflix by now. Born on April 6, 1969, Paul Rudd, American actor. He played Ant-Man on The Avengers and, Knocked Up and all these other different movies. He was in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I find it hard to believe he's over the age of 50. It's really weird. I didn't think he was that old. Died on April 6, 2016. We lost Merle Haggard, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He was born in 1937. As Merle Haggard got older, he had started having all kinds of medical issues. He had angioplasty surgery in 1995 to unblock a clogged artery. On November 9th, 2008, he announced he had been diagnosed with lung cancer. And he underwent surgery for that. Part of his lung was removed. This is great. Less than 2 months after cancer surgery, he played 2 shows on January 2nd and 3rd in 2009 in Bakersfield at Buck Owens Crystal Palace and continued to tour and record until shortly before his death. On the morning of April 6, 2016, his 79th birthday, he died of complications from pneumonia in Shasta County, California. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go forth, have a great day, and be nice to each other.